Okay. I fell and I have this bump on my head, and there. It's kind of hard to see. But anyways, I'm also pale, and I didn't do any pre-makeup or pre-production for this video. Not that when I do any type of pre-production, we create a very professional presentation, because it's just a simple Logitech webcam software thing from, like, 5 years ago. Nothing, really nothing about me is that great. Oh yeah, other than my status marker, which is my Mercedes-Benz. I miss my Mercedes. I've had a couple of Mercedes, and we have, it's August, and I was born August 6, 1970, which is the same date as Lucille Ball. And I'm Leo, a little bipolar. I'm also an attention whore. And whatever good comes my way based on my demand, it's just never good enough. And I'd like to speak on that level with you. Now, people are not really happy with their lives, all right? And I know this from my own experience and my own self-realization and living with a lot of status markers. I've lived in Washington, D.C., DuPont Circle, Adams Morgan, Capitol Hill. I've lived in San Francisco, not the Castro because it's below me. Not necessarily, to put on dentures, I can barely speak. Now I can speak. Thank goodness for dentures. The drugs, right, and the prostitution, things that I was trying to stay away from. That's why I say it's below me. I've explored all of it, okay? But I've done all I can for sobriety. And to, like, Joyce DeWitt, Janet Wood from Three's Company, she wrote me after I had given her, an elaborate take on the unhappiness of my life, as the status markers in the Mercedes never really satisfied me. And she saw that I have conquered many obstacles with courage and grace. It was a major compliment. She also said that I put a smile on her heart. So thank you, Joyce DeWitt. And I'm actually looking at her right now. It's very inspiring. And I'd like for you to see who is giving me energy to help talk with you before we get into some of our discussion. There's Joyce DeWitt. Is she fantastic? Tyler, with great appreciation for your beautiful heart, courage, and talent, I send you much love, Joyce DeWitt. She has helped me overcome obstacles such as in the gay community. It goes really deep. People, prostitution, drugs, self-loathing, self-pity, money hard-ons, status markers, lack of gratitude for people that have been in my life that I have always overtalked, and they don't have mental capacity to handle me anymore. I've had several friends, actually 2, say that to me. And a lot of it could be my bipolar, the homosexuality, the Christianity, family insanity, divorce, domestic violence, etc. I've had a knife put over my head by a boyfriend who was raised in the Hollywood Hills next door to Barbara Eden. He has this villa, amazing property next door to Barbara Streisand behind Hearst Castle. And, he also raped me by coercion. I didn't even know I was being raped. And so I put myself voluntarily in harm's way, not even seeking money or cars or real estate, you know, prostitution, male hustling, male whoredom in a Madonna whore culture, what have you. Yes, my ear is really itching. I'm not doing it as a defense mechanism. Thank you very much. Oh god, that itches. Body language is everything, isn't it? You also can pick up when somebody's lying to you, or like they do weird things. So I've dealt with friendships that thought that I was critical, thought that I was a hypocrite, thought that I thought I was better than them, I did things for them, and that was very nice. Socialized them, you know. Someone from third generation poverty, homelessness in their family, had their child in a park in Santa Monica. And really hurting and depraved in ways that I didn't have. My deprivation was other things, okay, which also came out later in life. And I didn't understand homelessness. Well, my dear friend had been homeless, and I've been afraid of homelessness for years, and I went to her and I said, I'm afraid of homelessness, and this is before I think I went back to college to get over some of my self-doubt and to raise confidence in myself. And I was telling her I was afraid of homelessness, and she told me, began to condition me that homelessness is not such a bad idea. So fast forward, I'm in LA. I had taken her through Santa Barbara and LA too, to restaurants, Moroccan, 5-star, 5-diamond, in my Jaguar. And I was doing things because I thought I was to be better than everybody, not just her. And so she took it personal because of her background of homelessness. And we both shared in both of our parents' divorce, and we had did shoplifting together many years ago when we were young. Maybe not too young, it was in high school. But we were not properly loved, and so we manifested. So fast forward, I moved to Los Angeles to live my bliss, to pursue my dream. And there's a lot of different moving parts to the story, and a lot of different layers that get in on the psyche. Isn't that wonderful? You can see my Mercedes. I don't drive a Mercedes right now. I drive a Bentley. I'm joking. Let's not talk about my car. I'm not going to tell you the car I do drive. So, I've been around people that when they make money, they turn it around and spend it on themselves for status markers. It could be jewelry, it could be fashion, it could be makeup, it could be decorum, it could be art, or it could be your car, or restaurants you go to, of course wardrobe too, because what you wear depends on where you go. And so my friendship, because I was born in Bakersfield, okay, and oh my god, this bump is so big, isn't it? I'm so sorry I'm not perfect enough for everyone. So I have this complex, okay? I'm a very fractured soul, all right? And some way I'm trying to not annoy myself by talking about myself, but I'm an egomaniac, and I am a product of society. I wouldn't say I'm Donald J. Trump, but, you know, money hard-ons and masturbating your ego and showing off and telling people that you're a winner, or showing that you're a winner when you don't tell them you're a winner because you want them to really believe that you are a winner, and you know that this is just a manipulative game. And you base your own self-perception on the way people perceive you when you get eye contact, when you go in and out of shops and things like that. So I like to go to nice restaurants, I like to sit, dress very well with my alligator shoes, etc. And I go to places to meet specific stars, like Well, one being Tom Cruise. I'm in love with Tom Cruise. And again, there's many moving parts to why I love Tom Cruise. Um, but I miss my friend that we started off in Bakersfield, and we weren't properly loved, and we were manifesting, and fast forward, you know, I took her to different places for eating and in my Jag, and then I moved to Los Angeles, and when I moved to LA, I called her, and her daughter was having a child, and I think her daughter had had a miscarriage. And so I says, oh, well, that's congratulations that you finally got a daughter and there wasn't a miscarriage. This means you don't have to get an abortion now. And it was just basically shock rock, sorry, duh. And Joan Rivers says a comedian does not have to apologize. So this is kind of my stratosphere, okay? And I'm wearing a seatbelt and I'm picking up on speed and things are happening because, you know, I'm friends with Catherine Cermak, who used to be, you know, the personal assistant for Betty Davis. Cermak has all of Betty Davis's estate, and so Cermak is doing book signing for her book called Miss D and Me. In fact, let me get you the card 1 second. I'll show you. Ow, ow, ow. Oh, 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 ouch. Oh, oh. Ow, that hurt. I just, so, that hurt. I stepped on something, excuse me. But this book is called Miss D and Me, Davis and Me. Me is Cermak. And Cermak does her book signing on Book Scoop on Sunset Boulevard. And I get my little VIP invites from my best friend, who was best friends with Della Reese, who's best friends with Cermak, and I know Cermak because I catered food to a dinner party in Sweet Beverly, Beverly Hills. And Cermak gave me this wonderful book on Mediterranean cooking. And this is the book Catherine Cermak gave me, Mediterranean, beautiful cookbook, because I had catered Armenian food with my very close friend, John Downey III, JD3. And he would not say he has egomaniac, and maybe he doesn't. I'm making it all up because of my delusional thoughts of grandeur and my mental illness, but I'm basically the Jane Russell egomaniac in, you know, Diamonds Are a Girl's Best Friend, pardon me. And he's basically the Marilyn Monroe blonde egomaniac. Or maybe I'm the Betty Davis and he is the Joan Crawford. We're like this and sacred, spiritual brothers. But in my own ego, I'm like, you know, because he's gotten further ahead as a producer and earning a living, and I mean, I don't know when he's going to first buy his mansion in Malibu or Bel Air or Brentwood or what have you, but it's like, there's been 8 mansions he's been telling me he's going to be owning in the last 3 years, and he hasn't owned one, but he's renting this cute little bungalow in Bel Air. And so, you know, this is John Downey, the friend of Misty and me. But so, I mean, I have really, okay, so at Catherine Cermak's book signings at Book Soup on Sunset Boulevard, she does a raffle, Cermak, and gives, you know, jewelry of Betty Davis's estate to people. So this is an amazing thing that's happening in this, you know, 2018. So I'm kind of like surrounded by a bit of Hollywood royalty, okay? So I am involved with people who have Hollywood royalty. Yes, everybody has a Mercedes. I'm joking. So, actually, Cermak has, it's a, God, what? It's a, I forget the model. It's a black, it's a black Mercedes. It's 4-door. It's like, looks like Mafia drives it. So elegant. I had the same exact model. And when I saw her walking to it, I'm like, my goodness, Catherine Cermak. She kind of rattles my cage. So I'm gay, but this is a really hot woman. And in the meanwhile, I'm in love with John Downey. You know, I'm not going to be, you know, pursuing sex with anybody, but and I'm not thinking dirty thoughts, but, you know, these are very attractive people to me. And, you know, there's a reason why, you know, I'm I'm really embarrassed to talk like this because I'm not trying to starfuck and I'm not trying to name drop, okay? And I'm not into the casting couch, and not that I'm opposed to it, but I'm not into the Harvey, you know, Weinstein, and I'm not into the GHB, date rape drug, Bill Cosby. I mean, it can get really sick in Los Angeles. You know the drill, okay? Corey Feldman and all the registered sex offenders that he's trying to get restraining orders on, and there's like statutes of limitations, and he's still pursuing this after like 40 years. So that, you know, people are really hurting in LA, and there's a reason why I'm here to start my doctoral, you know, study, and I'm working on proposing, because my proposal is investigating. Oh, I can barely speak. There's dentures in my mouth. I almost need like a denture in, like dentures in my brain to help me even think properly, because my speech is so pressured speech, because I'm trying to get into my friend who was homeless, you know, that doesn't have the mental capacity to handle me, that I grew up in Bakersfield with. And, you know, it's funny how people drop out of your life when they were a confidant and your best friend, and then new people come in, like John Downey III and Catherine Cermak and some other people in LA that I'm not going to discuss, because that could probably create some legal problems if I start talking about them right now. Major legal problems. So, you know, I have a friend whose father was like one of the lawyers for Elvis Presley in the day, or maybe a Maine lawyer, I don't know. But, and then some other stuff in Beverly Hills, and you know, I love to show off. You know, I was born the same date as Lucille Ball, and I'm a narcissist, and I'll do absolutely anything for you if I've attained it and gotten to that level because I've conquered obstacles, according to the beautiful note from Joyce DeWitt. You know, I kind of, you know, I can help you get what you need or what you want for your social stratification or blah, 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 blah. So I feel like I'm a really valuable person to people, because I've learned to love myself on days that I hate my life, and days that I am utterly lonely and I'm filled with envy. And I am not normally the jealous type of person. I'm pretty cool with envy, you know, because of loneliness, but when jealousy pops its head, and envy is there, and coveting, you know, this can, like, you know, trigger, you know, murder in the Old Testament. It discusses it. So, or maybe somewhere in the New Testament in the Bible, but, you know, I understand, you know, the good and evil in ourselves, and our dichotomy, and, you know, making friends, you know, with your dark side. And Tammy Moore, she's producing, or I'm helping her produce, a show in Ventura, because Ventura is kind of invisible when you go in and out of when you go from out of Hollywood or Westlake Village or Beverly Hills, and you go to Santa Barbara. You know, it's kind of like there's this community, it's a beach community, it's called Ventura, and it's a beach town, and I'm helping produce her show. It's called, I hope you can see this, it's called, please forgive my lack of technological expertise and pristineness, but it's called Filthy Gorgeous, and it's called Hoarderella, and she hoards things. This is all of her stuff, like her junkyard, but she also hoards people's stories, if you can see this. And she's, I hope you can see this, forgive me if you can't, but I know for sure you can see me. But she hoards people's stories, so when she goes out for her social justice filming, she ends up filming people that are homeless, and she starts documenting amazing media on graffiti and Asian poor people with homeless cowboys putting their hands in a bag of popcorn while they're laying on the park bench or the bus stop bench. And so she starts finding really amazing stuff that you would find in Santa Monica or Santa Barbara or Santa Cruz or San Diego in the homeless populations, or even San Francisco. She finds amazing stuff, and everything she sees is like a gold mine. And so we're working on producing her show called Horderella, like Cinderella. Okay, so John Downey III, my friend, who's friends with Sir Mac, gave me this article, and it's called Filthy Gorgeous. It's like a thing that's going on in New York. Okay, and we haven't, it's an Out magazine. It's a queer, gay, and lesbian magazine, blah, 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 blah. So, what we're learning is that this Filthy Gorgeous is kind of like, you know, your past, even your thoughts might be filthy, disgusting, but then you're gorge, you know, and this whole gorgeous component to you is making people forgive you much faster because they know you're trying to be your best and look your best. Now rewind. This gets to my Mercedes and taking my friend to restaurants and 5-star, 5-diamond places in the Jaguar. My friend from Bakersfield who had been homeless. So I moved to LA, right? And she just completely rejects me, but I have all this stuff happening with Horderella, Filthy Gorgeous, Sir Mac, you know, John Downey III, Betty Davis, Tom Cruise. More like John Travolta. He's opening more of my mail than Mr. Cruise, but that's another story because we're producing a show called Crazy Me for Tom Cruise, and I stand there in Hooker Hills. I was trained to operetta. And it's all very genderfuck, very gender bliss, very gender creative, you know, very LGBT friendly, and Q for questioning. So, you know, people are on the other side seeing what Rich Fag America offers, and here I am using androgyny, because any rock star in music history that's used androgyny becomes famous within minutes in Hollywood. Michael Jackson was in a different category himself, and also Elton John, because he basically marketed himself as a clown. The glasses, the hat, the shoes. But people like David Bowie, or Prince, or Freddie Mercury, Pizzazz, Shock Rock, Repulsive, Give Me AIDS, very Freddie Mercury, and Sex. Give me the gift that keeps on giving, an STD or an AIDS. And this is just the stereotype. I'm not being derogatory. Thank you very much, America. And also, you know, Culture Club, Boy George, and some other artists. So, you know, when you look at Hollywood right now, John Downey III, I asked him about a year ago, I says, or a couple of years ago, what's going on in Hollywood? And he says, the guys are busy looking straight, and, you know, I kind of paraphrase because he's not potty mouth, he's very legit. He's getting his doctorate of divinity, through Della Reese's New Thought Christianity kind of thing. He pastors up church that Della Reese pastored and planted. Started off in her mansion, estate, what have you, in Bel Air, and then it moved to Inglewood. So, and Della Reese is no longer living. So she was famous for Touched by an Angel. So I have all these things happening, and you know, Hollywood is, the guys are going to auditions wanting to get straight roles, heterosexual, because they want to look straight, but yet they suck dick on the side. And so, you know, I'm not trying to break community guidelines on YouTube, but this is kind of the, you know, President Donald Trump makes it okay to hire prostitutes and to grab pussy. So I think I'm allowed to say suck dick, because that's the preface of like lock her up, because Bill Clinton got impeached by denying a blowjob from Monica Lewinsky. And so, you know, all this is residual, okay, from different political homosexuality or gender politics, or scandal amongst our public administrators, things like that. So, I figure, why don't we bring androgyny back? So I have amazing stuff in the planning that is great for my own pocket and my own social stratification and my own fame and fortune. And I have a friend that was my best friend in high school dissing me. she started dissing me when I went back to college. It's not like my friend from college that I met in the dorms. It's my friend from high school that her children pursued college, but you know, she doesn't have, any university graduated people in the family, and so one of our kids is going to be the first college graduate, and I'm like amazed. And my friend, you know, is doing really well, and she's making more money than I did in the day, and so she's dissing me and she doesn't have time for me. See, people whitewash friendships. And that's why it's so important to come out about your ego and your culture of narcissism and, envy or jealousy that you might get through with people, because you got to start the work of the soul, and that is by opening elevated dialogue and discourse. I teach on this. I give awareness workshops on this, symposiums, seminars, discussions, talks, visiting scholar, lecturer, university, share the podium with a professor. So, I have things I'm planning at Pepperdine University in Malibu, UCLA, and USC, between the law school, psychology, and maybe biblical studies, sociology, social sciences, the humanities, public health, because I'm talking about STDs being the highest in the nation in LA, which is interesting because we have the largest, not one of the largest, but the largest LGBT centers in the world in Hollywood, and we have the largest Democratic headquarters in the country, and we have affluent Jewish, liberal Jews, veteran actors that are liberal Jews. And why do we have this with such entertainment industry elite? So, making connections with Mr. Cruz, Scientology, Jane Fonda, Joyce DeWitt. She's there kind of like in the back seat so I can vent to, but there's certain strategic plans that I'm talking with people about, and they're talking with me about before we contact Chelsea Clinton at the Clinton Foundation, blah, 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 blah. Because it's all about social justice prevalence and democracy promotion without force, so why not bring in a Democrat, right? So give me a break, America. It's not about Democrat or Republican anyways. I'm very moderate, but this is about being in the aisles to get both sides, cooperating with, like, public health in Los Angeles. And it's the social science emergency for men. So my friend is like, I don't have the mental capacity to handle this. And I'm thinking, I don't think I'm giving her psychobabble. I think it's because I'm at a high alignment of probable genius. I'm not saying I am genius or I'm brighter than the sun, let's say, but I'm bright. And I think that, my sobriety and me leaving male hustling and male whoredom, and, I was nominated as Mr. Nude Palm Springs in the day. Go ahead and do a search under, Mr. Nude Palm Springs, whatever, Tyler Hamilton. But this is a show that's being produced. We're not sure. It might be coming through Living It Up. That's a different show altogether. So some of them is like the live show, Crazy Me for Tom, is live, reality live theater show, and this is like reality TV show. Because people like reality TV, and they like things that go viral. So this is kind of like what I'm creating. It's like genderfuck, right? Cross-dress, you know the drill. Beverly Hills #1 realtor, he will do anything for love. Anything. Living It Up with Tyler Hamilton. And this is the vintage rhinestones, the gown, the musculature, the bling. I hope you can see this. I don't know, and it's very shaky, so please forgive me, and it might be blurry, but it might give you a more legitimate look this way. I don't know if I'm doing it up or too low, but let me just try moving this around, and maybe that will kind of fix perspective, so at least you'll get some type of angle where you'll be able to see what we're doing. Oop, those are Tyler's desktop items, so I'm Tyler Hamilton, the voice of the world, the Antichrist, and Jesus loves me and saves me. And I want people to not whitewash friendships. I want people to become friends with people for a lifelong. And when you work with people long enough, people change. You don't have to flick them off and not give them explanation. I've had this happen with people in San Luis Obispo. Fred Astaire's family settled in San Luis Obispo. San Luis Obispo County also housed Gene Kelly's home in Morro Bay, and the Hearst Castle, and Charlie Chaplin, Marion Davies, and Winston Churchill, and all the celebs were going through this. Central Coast to go up to Hearst Castle in SLO County by San Simeon. It's in San Simeon, but it's by Big Sur, and it's by Cambria, Cayucas, there's Los Osos, Montana de Oro, and we have, you know, Sylvester Stallone that was said to have bought property. I did a poetry reading in the day before I moved to places to become more educated about the gay psyche and gay manatee and queer theory and the queer nation and social justice and being willing to take the bullet like Harvey Milk. Do a search on Harvey Milk in San Francisco. He's a public administrator. He was gay, and somebody was jealous of him as a public administrator, and so they gave him a bullet. But, you know, we don't have really any role models, and I will take the bullet for the social justice of what we need to come out for. You know, I am tired of Christians and churches giving us a hard time and telling us we've talked too much about homosexuality, and they just want to have a light-hearted conversation, not so dark. There's nothing dark about this conversation. It's called self-realization. It's called self-actualization. It's called taking courage to communicate and ask challenging questions, because we what? We grow in psychological masculinity as male intellect. And I'm getting a PhD, and I am so tired of churches refusing to hear that Jesus loves me, and Jesus loves gay men, Jesus loves lesbians, Jesus loves transsexuals, Jesus loves Caitlyn Jenner, Jesus loves Chastity, Cher's son, from Sonny and Cher. Up Church, Delarissa's church, where John Downey pastors and is getting his Doctorate of Divinity degree. Chaz was there last month. I wasn't there, but you know, transgender people go toward Jesus. So I need people to not block me out, and I cannot afford, and LGBT people can't afford people washing their hands of them when they've done nothing wrong except pursue sobriety. And then people like diss them. You know, if you understand, I have 2 DUIs. I'm not going to tell you the particular drug of choice or which choice of drugs or substance abuse or heart control substance, blah, 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 blah. But, you know, 3 strikes are out, and, you know, a judge is telling me that, you know, if you're loaded again, you know, you're going to prison for 7 to 8 years. So, you know, when I'm getting people, you know, that know nothing about DUIs, know nothing about incarceration, know nothing about restorative justice or criminal justice reform, this is what we have to let them know, is that it is just, it is fair to let us have a voice. This is why my whole profession, you know, for social justice started as a gay militant activist in San Luis Obispo, and I was Voice of Obispo, a gay militant activist. I used to also be the Downtown Brown Community Bear mascot of, you know, unveiling the trolley and doing events with the mayor and being known by Farmers Market. But I was Downtown Brown Community Bear mascot. I was the mascot of San Luis Obispo for a time. And this was before I started my custard pie years in Palm Springs and got raped and had a knife put over my head. I've had HIV/AIDS scare my entire life. I also have herpes, you know, and I'm tired of people making a mockery of people. We got to get people coming out and not being ashamed, okay? And if you know any gay people, you need to stand by their side, because we live in a very pivotal time. It's the best time ever in the history of this planet to be doing what we're doing through technology and a global human family of globalization of democracy, and understanding uh, a global human family as it relates to gaymanity, okay, the humanistic vantage point of gay men in culture. You know, I'm not talking about specific things that go on in your dirty mind, you know, like Sodom and Gomorrah from the Bible and being sodomized. You know, I'm not talking what happens behind closed doors. That's none of your business, and it's none of my business for somebody else. But, you know, I'm speaking from a vantage point of gaymanity, of humanism, to end hate crime. And if the Christians are going to be dissing the voice that's coming forward for men like myself that have knives over my head, you know, you got something else coming, because you know nothing about community development, particularly advanced community development, or humane life sustainability, or an ethical, welcoming collective consciousness. Okay, I talk about this in my lectures, and I don't want to bore you, but there has got to be a relevant voice out there, and I'm putting it out there for us guys. There's no shame. Okay? So, you know, the less likely we are to do this, okay, with courage and grace, the less likely we're going to be able to get celebrities out of their closets in Los Angeles to help with public health issues having to do with LGBT and policy and civilian group lobby work. And all that is under the umbrella of Social Alchemy Project Access Management. Your YouTube video where you're finding this video portal or website portal, what have you, on YouTube is called Social Alchemy Project. Alchemy is change, social change. It's your project, and it's your self-governance, and you holding yourself accountable. And I get involved with motivational accountability life coaching. I get into the social justice education of this and the democracy promotion of this. And, you know, more importantly, the safer global communities among all people, whether it's gay, but it's also straight. So people, when you deny dramatic folks such as myself of friendship, you're really making us more isolated. And we work really hard not to be in a dark place in the corner because of rejection, where we think about suicide. Okay, some people might think about homicide. Okay, you know, there is definitely lawlessness when somebody is in the shadows of another person's prejudice, and that person's not even prejudice, such as yourself if you're gay. So, you know, let's raise that ethical welcoming consciousness, okay? Let's love the unlovely. Let's be friends with the friendless. Let's say, come as you are, no perfect people allowed is the New World Christ Church. Things that we're trying to do with Social Alchemy Project. You know, right now in Trump's administration, the big ticket right now is he's a racist president. Whether you agree, whether you don't, there's racism in the country, right? Even against myself, okay? People are very racist against me. Prejudice, what have you. You see, chickens are not racist, okay? Crispy nugget chickens. These nuggets that you get at Burger King, right? They are golden when they go through the process of their alchemy. They get fried, they get baked, they get put in the oven to keep their warmth, blah, blah, before you pick it up. Because you may have used your smartphone or something like that to place your order. But crispy is brown. Burger King logo is brown. The golden of the chicken is golden, and the red is nuggets. These different colors are indicative of crispy might be Mexican. They're called rapists and criminals, according to some people, not myself. Or this could be our black community, our beautiful, beautiful African American folks This here could be your Ginger Boys or, you know, your Prince Harry type of, you know, ginger boy, right? And then here could be your typical rednecks, like from Bakersfield, California, that can't accept people like Tyler Hamilton. You see in this whole packaging and this whole branding, which Donald Trump's big on branding, make America great again, right? Hopefully you all like this if you're a capitalist. Feel free to try to make money off of me. I don't care. I'm not doing this for money, so I don't even, you know. But I've had people steal from me, so I'm not impressed. You have yours coming. But all of these colors are on one branding, or on the labeling, okay, of this package thing for your chicken tenders or what have you. And they're all collectively engaged in your attraction to the energy of what Burger King is providing you. There is absolutely no prejudice in this. So this is kind of like a mock-up or a blueprint or a prototype of like American society. We have Mexicans, blacks, Muslims, what have you, gay, lesbians. We have the twinks or the ginger boys or the girly boys or the sissies or what have you. I don't care. Maybe Norwegian. And then you have the rednecks. They're all complementing one another to give you a great product when you want to eat this and purchase it, okay, at Burger King. The same thing is with America and our lives and the war on race, okay, and gender identity and orientation, persuasion, okay, and prejudice, and the Christians. LA is such a great place to be because it has energy, because every day all cultures of the world are resembled through business, and everybody is interconnected. It's the integral theory. Do a search on it. Experts talk about this. It's in the literature. It's in the literature. But just educate yourself on integral theory. It's really amazing. So everything is very interconnected, okay? Same with this. Same with why we have an interesting person as our president. And also why I know Sir Mac and John Downey and my friend from Bakersfield and Joyce DeWitt. We're all here to compliment one another. I had gingers in my mouth, I could barely speak. Much better. We're here to compliment one another and have an energy that you have in Los Angeles, per se, as a wonderful, you know, scenario here every day. All cultures are together doing business to make a successful, peaceful day in beautiful Los Angeles. So we have every ethnicity, different foreign language. We have Koreans, we have the Chinese, we have the Armenians, we have people from Bangladesh, we have people from, well, one Japanese woman in LA. She keeps letting herself get raped. She comes from a samurai family. I'm not going to give you the last name that she has, but you know, and she's busy not liking Koreans, okay, and Mexicans, but yet she likes British guys. But every person, we're not looking at the prejudice, but every person representing whatever race, okay, or lineage, there is that ethnicity that's supposed to be resilient because it represents your global human society. So you don't have all that complementary energy, right, with low crime. 2 mayors ago in Beverly Hills, he lowered murder by half in Los Angeles, okay? So it's possible. We have tribes, indigenous tribes, whatever, in Africa, what have you. It's in the literature, read about it. And it's a nonviolent tribe. They don't have violence, never have had violence. But it's the same thing, and we all have to understand the ethnicity, the socioeconomic disparity, the haves and have-nots. We can't be selfish, where we don't even provide our company to a gay man like myself. We can't be so full of ourselves that we are too selfish to share our company with people like myself that really need it. Because I stick out my head to help people, okay? This is why I respect myself, and I become more proud of myself, because you reap what you sow, and you do things that learn to gain self-respect within one's own self, which is already divinity. But, you know, when there is this conflict, it doesn't work in LA. It doesn't work at Burger King. And it's certainly not going to work between Miss D and me, and Kat Cermak, and John Downey, even though, you know, I'm the Jane Russell and he's the Marilyn Monroe of, you know, Diamonds Are a Girl's Best Friend, or Horderella in Ventura versus me being Living It Up, the #1 realtor in Beverly Hills that will do almost anything, and then Joyce DeWitt. We don't need people like Tom Cruise dissing us in the LGBT culture because Scientologists don't give money to LGBT. We don't need homophobia. We don't need fear in a religion or a Baptist faith, not just pinpointing like Scientology. But we don't need that. We need a No Rules Christ church. We need an all-encompassing global human family in a tech community where STDs are increasing in LA, and I don't know why somebody would reject me. I mean, I give out of what I need, everybody, and I give out of what I don't have. And I am willing to take the bullet if it's going to create awareness and global human safety causes for you in the humanities or nonprofit organizations, volunteer or not, getting paid or not, I don't know. But if it takes a martyr, I'm the one for the job. So let's put it that way. And because I am taking the courage to say that, and the psychological masculinity, because even though I might be a girly boy and a sissy that acts out here and there, I'm probably one of the best forms of psychological masculinity and the branding of psychological masculinity. Hello, Donald J. Trump. I contacted Melania because I wanted to sing for their family if they would have paid down some of my bills. That never happened. Maybe she knew I was a little manic depressive bipolar, and she didn't like it. It was too much mental capacity for her because she has to deal with Trump. You know, I don't need people rejecting me, whether it be a friend from Bakersfield or Melania Trump. You know, because in the wealth of information you get through your own alchemy, okay, being your own alchemist, self-governance, okay, you have an amazing opportunity to publish, to lecture, to sing, create art, lobby, get into your local politics with joining political participation, getting people to vote. You know, if that's the start for you to really have meaningfulness in your life because you are not satisfied with your Mercedes or your status markers, all right? You can begin to start to love yourself and decide you're not going to commit suicide. Okay? You are an agent of change. You are an agency of change with Social Alchemy Project Access Management. You are a change agent, and those friendships are pivotal to the let's get straight to it. Mental health advocacy. So people stop getting loaded on drugs. They stop committing suicide in Hollywood. They start ODing like Tom Petty. You know, Hollywood's very forgiving. Thank you, Whitney Houston. But man, she went off, right? She got loaded. She had her OD. Heather Locklear, busted, trapped in Ventura. So Horderella is going to be an important part for the visibility of social justice, prevalence, and democracy promotion without force. People, let people share their voice. Be in exchange and reciprocate, and be a friend of the friendless, and love the unlovely. Because you will be amazed of how your heart opens up and something good in life starts loving on you. And it's much better than what your dream was. You have no idea what's in store for those that love righteousness.